to Season 2 of Crush Your Mountain. Now, if this information and the experiences here appeal to you in any way, shape, or form, please, by all means, go ahead and tap that notification bell, hit the like button, leave a comment on the ones that might deal with you or touch you deeply. Now, in this personal growth issue, we're going to talk with Mr. Jose Pereira. He's the former CEO of Citgo Corporation, as well as currently a life coach. We're going to discuss his harrowing experience of being held hostage for 5 years in a foreign country. We're going to see what he's doing now to help others, but now what did he do to survive? How did he deal with the various adversities and changes that came up? And indeed, what is not just what he's doing now to help others, but what lessons he's learned along the way. We talk about the noted psychiatrist and World War II concentration camp survivor, Dr. Viktor Frankl, and how his book, Man's Search for Meaning, inspired Jose to continue in his determination to survive. Hey, this is going to be a bang-up episode and very uplifting, so fitting for our first episode of the second season. Let's dive in. Jose Pereira, mi amigo, mi compañero, bienvenidos a nuestro programa. Es muy bien que te vea. ¿Cómo estás?
Thank you very much, Henry, for having me. Spanish is wonderful, my friend. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for you and your audience to hear me.
Well, I'm so glad to have you, you know. I'll tell you, we've got so many different things happening these days, but your situation, I wanted everyone to understand what happened with you, the experience that you've had, you know, because quite frankly, we know that you were in a situation for 5 years, and what you went through and how you deal with it and how you've come out on the other side is so important that people understand what it means in terms of resilience, in terms of recovery, in terms of the importance of hope, as well as the understanding of a saying that you and I have in common, that by Viktor Frankl. So please tell us your experience. What happened? You were the CEO of Sitgo, and you're about to retire. Give us your story, please.
Well, thank you very much. Well, my story begins because I'm Venezuelan born, became U.S. citizen some decades ago, and I was long-time worker in the oil and gas in the Venezuelan state-owned company, PDVSA. And they assigned me like 15 years ago here to the U.S. That's how I came here. And I began to work in Sitgo, that is the U.S.-based affiliate of PDVSA. And I finished my career there. It was a 35 years career. And at the end, I became to be the CEO of the company. So it was a long career, and I really was in the pinnacle of my career. And someday they made me a phone call here in Houston. I live in Houston, to go to a business trip to Caracas. That was November 2017, and there was a budget meeting. I didn't see nothing wrong because that was budget season. So I went with my 5 top executives, and we flew to Caracas. And the meeting, by the way, the meeting happened. It was a very large meeting, almost 1,000 people in the meeting room. And when we finished the meeting, we sit down. We were happy that it was a very successful meeting, and we were planning to come back to Houston. And suddenly we see that it came to the meeting room, a lot of guys with this outfit that they look like Robocops, you know, with these big outfits in black. And they have here a sign that said Dijesim in yellow. And when I saw that sign, I asked a guy that was beside me what that Dijesim means. And the guy was scared, and he told me that was the counterintelligence military police of that country. I could not imagine what was going on. And they asked for me. So this guy that was with me, he put us in a separate room because they wanted to do like a show there, you know. So the guy came. He was a general. He said, okay, you are charged treason of the country, espionage, embezzlement, corruption, and a long list of things. And we really got shocked because we said there is something wrong here. At the beginning, we said this is wrong. There is a mistake. They're confusing with somebody else. But that was not the case because from that day until the next 5 years, we stayed in prison. 1,775 days was at prison. And I'm going to continue telling you more about that.
1,775 days.
Yes.
In prison, hostage in what is essentially for you, because you're an American citizen, a foreign country, even though you're Venezuelan born. And
correct.
They let the meeting go on, and then walked in at the end, and then read this list of charges, one of which was embezzlement, of all things, embezzlement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Correct. Let me tell you, Henry, today I'm very aware and I'm talking very loud about this situation. This is something that is called the hostage diplomacy, to the audience to understand what it is. Typically, this type of country, and today, unfortunately, many countries are doing this. Venezuela have learned from the people from Iran, China, Russia, Afghanistan, Syria. There are a lot of countries that are replying the pattern. What they do, they take citizens of the country. For example, if you're American, they take Americans. You can be in a business trip, like was my case, or you're in a vacation, or you're in visiting a family. Because in my case, like other guys, you can have family there. So they take you, they put you some sham charge, they do a sham trial, because their intention is to get you and then negotiate you like a bargain chip. So that's what happened to us. When we realized what was going on is that, by the moment we flew there was having some issue that U.S. was imposing sanctions on Venezuela because the regime, there was having a lot of problems. And we saw that was happening, but to tell you the truth, we never thought that could affect us because we were not politicians. But really affected us because we get caught in the middle of that situation. And this is something so difficult because can you imagine that you can get trapped in the middle of a dispute between two countries? So that's what happened with the hostage diplomacy, that you get trapped in the middle of the dispute between two countries. So our case was amazing.
Yeah. So just so that our people are clear, okay, because not too many people are aware of this, that when we hear about certain things taking place in the world, they are not just acts of violence random, but they are actually either political statements or political techniques. Terrorism is not just an act of violence, it is a political tool. Well, correct. This is another thing that is a political tool that is used. Now, unlike, say, Mexico, this is not an area, or Somalia, this is not just a situation where they want money. This is where they want something from a specific government. So in the case of Mexico, individuals often go down there and they're taken hostage in order for the gangs to get money. In Somalia, they rob the ships, they take ships hostage, they take passengers, they take the sailors hostage for the sake of getting the ransom, particularly from the shipping company. But in this case, Jose is taken hostage as well as his colleagues for 5 years as a way of bargaining with the United States. This is what's happened in Russia. In fact, there's another most recent abduction recently in Russia. Right. In China, as has happened, as you've mentioned before. So understand, friends, when we pay attention to the news many times, we're living a time period where things aren't as they seem. Don't just take things for granted. And this is one of the reasons why Jose is here with us today, to share his story so that everyone understands that there's more behind the curtain than meets the eye. Please continue. Let me ask you this one question. So did they take you all to separate cells, or they just put you in one room, or how did that continue to develop?
Okay, we went through phases, okay? When we were there, at the beginning we were separated. I was put in a room with one of my colleagues that literally I stayed the 5 years with him. The other 4 guys, we were separated. We saw those guys almost 1 year after. We didn't know what was going with them because we were totally isolated. We were put in a room that they called the submarine because it's like living in a vessel. Doesn't have windows. It's totally locked, and you lose the control of the time because the lights are 24/7 turn out. So you lose sense of time. So that we stayed there like 10 months, and after 10 months is that we have the first call with our family. Can you imagine having 10 months without knowing what was going in the world? So after 10 months, I had a 1-minute call with my family, and I began to realize that they were doing a lot of things they were doing. They were having conversation already with the U.S. government. The U.S. government was trying to get involved. But again, this is something that today I understand that because today I advocate for this cause because today we have a campaign that is called the Bring Our Family Home campaign that I'm part of it, that we advocate for the other cases. What happened in these cases? It's so complex, and the audience has to understand this. This can happen to any regular person that you get targeted because, as you said, Henry, these are done by government. This is not irregular groups. These are not guerrillas. This is not ISIS. This is a government using this like official tool to get concessions from the other government. So in our case, they were asking to lift sanctions. They were asking to return people that they wanted targeted, like Russia does. Russia, it's typical, that's what they do. Remember the case of Brittany Griner? Said she was traded, or Trevor Reed. By the way, both of them are part of our campaign. We have in our campaign a journalist that is lost in Syria called Austin Tice. We have several cases that today are more known because our journalists and some are the sport guys, and the press has been more talking about this. But this is part of our mission today to try to raise more awareness. Because to tell you the truth, Henry, the people are not aware about this. I got surprised every time in every audience I talk this, how the people get surprised that this is happening. And this is happening.
That's the biggest challenge in so many ways, because the world is so inundated with media, and much of it's superficial. We have to be honest.
Yeah.
Much of it is distraction from reality, and right. This is reality. When people are so used to now, they're pulled by big flashy movies and political rhetoric that's distracting, and all sorts of things that are inflammatory, and yet individuals who are innocent beings who are just trying to live their lives are attacked and wind up suffering. So it took you 10 months just to be able to reach out to your family, to see another human being besides the one person you were with. So after that 10 months in the submarine, did you remain there a little bit longer, or did they put you elsewhere?
Well, let me tell you, the situation began to evolve because at that point, our family was doing a lot of noise in the press. If you go to the 2018, 2019 frame, there is a lot of news around our case because our families, the 6 families got together and decided to go to the press, because this is something else. At the first instance, they were told to get silent. Go silent because we're going to do work behind the scene. That was the instruction they received. So they stayed almost 1 year being silent. When they saw that during 1 year, nothing happened, one day they got together and said, hey, we're going to do this in the press. So they got somebody that pro bono helped them, and they organized a very clever press strategy. They were always going to the medias every day. All the families, boom, 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 West, in all the big major media outlets. I'm talking about Fox, CNN, Reuters, Bloomberg, AP, AFP, all the media's big Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, New York Times, Times Magazine. They got a lot of interviews, a lot. And at some point, the press, they put us like a brand because we were six guys, and they began to call us the Citgo Six. I don't know where that name came, but we became the Citgo Six, and today we became the Citgo Six. That's our brand. So it
Citgo
was kind
Six.
of
Wow.
funny because everybody began to call us Citgo Six, even in the jail. The guards, when they call us, says, "Hey, Citgo Six, come here." So
Wow.
the Citgo Six became to be a brand.
So did they put the Citgo Six in the same location together eventually? Were you guys, or do they still keep you separate? How did that develop? And what were conditions like at that point?
Okay, that's very good because that at that point, because the press was making a lot of pressure, and the government also, the government of the U.S. became very vocal in our case. They very vocal. All the top officials were talking about us. And my wife was received 2 times in the White House, okay, and with all the families. And at that point, of course, that began to do more pressure. So what they did is they decided to put the six together. So that was the first time we were the six together. And then they begin to soften a little bit the treatment. At that point, and by the way, that there was a commission of the UN that went to visit that. They began to do a lot of pressure at that point, a lot of diplomatic pressure. So they relaxed a little bit the thing. They begin to allow us to have books. They begin to allow us to have food. So at that moment, I did two things. I began to read a lot. I wrote like 300 books. And by the way, one of the books is the one that we have been talking here. That is the book that today. One day I'm gonna ask royalty because I always have talking about that book. It's a wonderful book that is Man in Search of a Meaning of Viktor Frankl. This guy was, Henry, a survivor in the concentration camps in World War II. Right. Sorry, I got excited.
You get excited. That's powerful, of course. When we talk about stuff, especially when you are a survivor and a thriver, and then you have inspiration and you find individuals where you can share that energy with. It's natural to get excited. I'm surprised you haven't blown the roof off yet, but who knows? The show is still young. Go for
it. Well, okay. I was telling that when I read that book, that book was really like enlightening because Viktor Frankl wrote that wonderful book. Staying in the concentration camp, he began to see the pattern of the people that we really were surviving. And he noticed the people that survived were those that had a meaning in life. So having that meaning, in my case, was my family. I know my family was fighting hard for me. So that was like a boost in the situation. And by that moment, we were the six together. So I remember one day we met the six, and we did like a board meeting, the six, talking there like when we were in our company, and we decided to create a plan, a survivor plan. And let me tell you, Henry, that plan, we stayed like 4 years doing it. Was a very, very comprehensive plan, how to do everything. We said we had to do a routine, a daily basis routine. So we did a plan, and one of our guys was always like the plan keeper. Everybody has to stick to the plan. We were always like, and let me tell you, Henry, that was awesome because we begin to do it in a daily basis, and the day began to go really fast. We were all the day doing things, all the day. And by the way, we were in a very tiny room. To the audience that understand, we were in a room of 100 square feet. It was a closet. So we managed to handle that area. So one day I'm gonna try to recreate that because it's amazing how we did it. And I can tell you that six of us did it really awesome. Because that put us in a way where we could do management of that situation.
The connection between Viktor Frankl, you, myself, and some of my family members is that during World War II, I had I'm connected with individuals that I call family. And many of them were in the concentration camps. And when you mentioned the routine, they maintained a routine as well. And it is that routine, and also the caring for one another, and also the holding on to the hope that kept them going, even when the Allied forces came in, and and in this case the Nazis, they were leaving, they were taking these men on the death march. God knows they were trying to cover up their crimes by marching these guys to death and killing them on the way. Well, just in one particular concentration camp, you had about 100, 101 brothers that were there, and they were being forced to march and things like that. And not one of them died, because they were being cared for one another, and they maintained those things, the routine, the hope, and the love amongst themselves. And so I see that similarity there, and the connection there that Viktor Frankl says, just so that everyone knows, it's this famous statement: between stimulants and response, there is a space. And in that space lies your freedom, because that is the ability to choose. So we know that you have the freedom to choose. And so indeed, it's amazing how you took that and you guys formed together and you chose to survive. You chose to move ahead forward. So now, can you give us an idea of just some of the things that you did day in and day out? We know that you read, but now all of you together, can you give us an idea?
Let me tell you what was our daily routine. We were in the three beds, and the two-story beds. And in the morning we begin with a breakfast. I was a morning guy. I begin my breakfast around 5:30 to 6 a.m. I alone in a tiny table, all the lights turned off. I was in the solace of my space, having my breakfast. Everybody was in their bed. So when I finished, I went to my bed. There came another of the guys. So we did that routine. Boom, 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 boom. That stayed like, I don't know, 2 hours. Then when we finished, okay, we turn the lights on. Maybe it was 9 a.m., 10 a.m. We began the cleaning session. Everybody knew that I had to clean on the daily basis. I cleaned the other day. So we did that routine, complete clean. That was totally sanitized. Remember, there was COVID going there, okay? We did the cleaning. Then after the cleaning, so we did, okay, now we're going to read. We began to read. Everybody was reading. Silent rules. If somebody had a small radio, was with a plug here. No noise. Totally silent. Okay, we read. After we read, at some point we began to write, because we have opportunity to begin to write. I began to write to my wife. I began to smuggle some letter in the trash cans, and I could begin to write letters to my wife. By the way, that letter became the book that today is in the publishing, because when I came back, I saw that we had already written like 1,000 letters, Henry. 1,000 letters, because I stayed writing almost 3 years. So what my wife did is that she compiled the letters, and she did a wonderful job transcripting in Word. So when I came back in October, already was done. It was there. What I had to do was put it in a comprehensive way to become a book. So we were reading and writing. And after that, even we were having some distraction. We didn't have domino. So we did with a small papers, domino. We were playing dominoes. We began to play domino. And so we were having distractions. And then after that, in the night, we begin to read the Bible and pray. And let me tell you, that session lasted like 3 hours. So at the end, we were tired. 11 o'clock, all the day doing things, So when you get 11, you were tired and you sleep like a baby. So that was a routine, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, and we came back. And when I came back, we were doing that routine that in some way that our mind was so set up with the routine that the time was going really fast. It began to go really fast. And we were at that point with a lot of hope, by the way.
So this is truly amazing. Now, not only did you have the routine though, but there are some other things that happen. And here's the thing about it. All of us experience darknesses, and we hit upon a wall. We reach that mountain. Sometimes it's an Everest, sometimes it's a hill, all depending. Sometimes it's just a matter of perspective, right? But here's the interesting thing. When we examine the obstacle, we learn that in our process, there are some unexpected positive things that happen. So I won't by any way, any means, belittle anything that you experience. I know that. But from what I remember and what I gather, you had some health issues before you had this experience, before you were taken hostage. Could you tell us about how your health issues went through a drastic change that we did not expect? You would not expect that to happen while you're in a hostage situation.
Well, let me tell you. First, I was starving. I began to reduce weight. And when I began to reduce weight, and when we were allowed to have food, it was a logistical issue for my family, but my family began to provide me the food. So they began to provide me healthy food, because the guy that was giving the logistics, his wife began to cook me. And she was so severe with my diet that today I had diabetes and high blood pressure, and today I have it under control. Totally under control, because I stayed like in a severe diet, and no choice. I couldn't go to the grocery shop. I couldn't go to eat junk food. I was eating what they were bringing to me. It was so healthy that so it's kind of funny to say this, but that was something positive that came for that bad situation. And today I have that issue in my health. This under control.
So we don't want anyone to get themselves taken hostage. But what we do want to encourage, because as everyone knows that watches this show, and those of my clients that work with me, you know that I work with weight loss, I work with reversing and controlling type 2 diabetes. So understanding that your diet, and not just what you eat, okay, but how you eat and how much you eat and when you eat, that has a direct bearing on your state of health and state of mind and state of well-being. So that's the positive thing. But there's more things that mi hermano here has actually experienced, and I want him to share with us more about that. Please go on.
Yeah. So even in the dark moment, Henry, and this is a lesson that today every time I think more and more in this situation, because after I came, I begin to figure out what to do with my life. So when I begin to understand that this hostage situation was something that was going on worldwide, we began to advocate, and we have been helping this Bring Our Family Home campaign, and we have been also helping other foundations that talk about this and work with advocating for hostage situation. But I began to see that was helping others, that was giving a lot of hope, So I decided to create a coaching program. Today, I have a coaching program from adversity to building up resilience. So that's my thing today. And I'm beginning to do also public speaking to talk about this, because I strongly believe today that from any adversity, and you said it well, it's your choice, the way how you manage it. It's totally under your control. And another thing is telling people about the positive mindset. This is something that I understood, that was something that helped me a lot, having a positive, because I was a guy, Henry, that all my life was really positive. That was part of my DNA. My wife always said that, oh, you're kind of naive because you're so positive. But no, it works. It works when you look things in a positive way. So that worked for me. And today, I strongly recommend the people, you had to have a positive mindset. This is something that I want to have it clear here, like a takeaway to the audience. Any adversity in life, you can solve it if you look at it in a positive way, and And of course, you need your loved ones. This is something important. For me, my family was my support, Henry. I cannot imagine going through this without the support of my family. My family was doing everything to bring me back. So that connection with your family in an adversity is so important. So important. I know that today in the world we are, sometimes families are broken, families are disconnected, but I can tell you, to anybody that's hearing this in the audience, if you have any adversity, go to your loved ones, go to the people that cares, and they are going to be with you, because that's the point.
You know, that's so vital that you mentioned it too, because even in the areas that where people have long lives, when they examine the things that all these areas around the world have in common, one of the major things that stands out is close family ties and close friendships. You know,
Yes.
I have a huge family globally, and just like a little while ago, I had just left one family member and his wife. Then I came home only to find out that someone else was in the hospital, and went back to the emergency room of a place that you're rather familiar with from what we talked about earlier. And you know, when he heard my voice, because he's blind, he just lit up. And I was watching the monitor. Okay, I was watching the monitor, and I could see that his blood pressure began to drop a little bit. His his pulse rate began to slow, and it was amazing to see that he immediately went into this state of calm and happiness. And that's the key. So many things were happening when you were, number one, with your comrades, part of the Citgo Six, and that in itself had a positive effect on your bodies. Then you had the food coming on, but then then you have the communication, just the communication, that psychic connection from your wife, from the family, knowing that there, all of that builds up hope. All of those things have of effect on the body, where you know you have your serotonin built up, the oxytocin built up, all of the various parts of the body, your exercise that you took place that actually created the BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factors. All those things happened and was enhanced because of your close association. So important that we do that. But I have to ask you this one other question. So upon coming out of the of the situation, they brought you into a health facility of some sort. Well, which one did they bring you to, and does it have anything to do with the city of Oaks?
Well, let me tell you, when I came back, I went through several processes, because this is something, Henry, that I'm even thinking to create a guide, because it's something, it's not easy. It's not easy, because even if you're positive, everything, one thing that I learned, by the way, when I wrote the book of Viktor Frankl, he said in the book that one of the biggest processes is when you come back, that you find that the world has changed, that you have lost people. I lost my aunt that was like my mom, and I lost my mother-in-law that I love them so much. And I always was asking, how is Tia Lilia? How is Doña Maria? And no, they're fine, they're fine. They were dead. They were dead. They had passed 1 year ago. So, you begin to have that shock of reality. So when we arrived here in October last year, we first went to a military facility in San Antonio that they did a program called PISA, PISA, that is like a decompression process. We stayed like 2 weeks there. After that, I began to go with therapy, and then finally I went to this trauma center there in North Carolina, very famous trauma center, and I stayed a whole week. They call it the marathon week. I understood how all the biochemic works, and by the way, they was surprised how we manage this. But what's that, Henry? There were several things that today I can understand. Is one, we were really working hard for our families. That is something very important. The six of us, because with the six of us had wonderful families, wonderful kids that were fighting hard for us. By the way, the foundation of the campaign was our kids. Our kids created the foundation. It was something amazing how they were fighting for us. So having our family fighting for us, we were like, it was like a anthem every day, saying, shouting out that we needed to come back strong in body, soul, and spirit. So that puts you in a situation that you're unbreakable. You become unbreakable. It's something that your mindset goes to another place. So when I came back, I understand that we went through that process, but we were more conscious about what was going through you today. So today, I can frankly talk about this. I have my LinkedIn page. I have a newsletter where I talk about that. I invite the people to go to my newsletter. I always are talking about how overcome adversity. I posting videos to teach the people that some things that I understood that we did it because we're a regular guy. We were a regular guy that went through this experience, and well, if we could survive it, we tell the people, if I can do it, you can do it. It's your choice. This is something by choice. So it's having the proper mindset. Period. That's it. You're muted. Okay.
That's so important that we understand that everything begins with the mind. Everything begins with the mind and the heart. The way we look at things, the way we look at life, the way we look at our future. You see, so there's no way that a person can have a good outcome if they don't look for the good outcome.
Correct.
That is the most important thing that that a person can take away here. But now, there's so many things. You're so full of energy, and you're such an inspiration. I think that I'm glad that you retired from Citgo, because with the energy that you have, you couldn't be around any flammable liquids. You'll probably blow one of the plants up, because you're so.
Henry, for me, it's amazing what you're saying, because when I came back, I was saying, am I gonna go back to the corporate world? That's a world that I don't fit there today, because I feel so much passion while I do it today, because really this is something that happened to me for something, that things in the life have some meaning. So if I now can help, and let me tell you, Henry, I'm connecting for wonderful people. Today I have wonderful people. I have a very close friend today that we're gonna be going a business together. So we're doing wonderful connections with wonderful people. That this is like a law of attraction. You begin to attract people that are like in your same symphony, and you get, how I met these people. It's amazing. So yeah, I'm really glad that I decided to go to this path. My wife she is very happy, because she always thought that I shouldn't become an advisor. She told me, you have to retire and become an advisor. I was thinking to be an oil and gas advisor. I decided to do a life advisor. So, it's my thing today.
So very cool. Well, as we close out, I really appreciate you. And by the way, friends, when he says that he was in that trauma center, he was in the city of Oaks at the WakeMed Hospital. So if you're in,
I didn't want to mention it because I don't know if you wanted, but yeah, it's
no problem. No problem. Okay, I said, okay, there are so many individuals that I know personally that work there, so they would be thrilled to know that the connection. You see, yeah. So absolutely.
My friends of WakeMed, thank you very much for your service, because they treated me awesomely. Brian, if he's hearing this, he's an awesome guy.
I'm going to make it a point to send it to Mr. Brian Kessler. Absolutely. Let me ask you this. I have one more question that I ask all my guests. And I know that this is something that you can definitely answer and light it up for us. So with everything that you've gone through, you know, your career as a high-powered Sitgo executive, your experience in being held hostage for 5 years in Venezuela, and then coming out and forming organizations to make known to the world the plight of individuals, hostages around the world who are used as political bargaining chips. With everything that you're involved in and that you do, Jose Pereira, what does it mean to you to crush your mountain?
Well, for me, crush my mountain. Wow, give me goosebumps when you told that. Yeah, because I tell the audience, my takeaway is that any adversity that you have in your life, you can always overcome it. Any adversity, I can tell you, any adversity that you're having some struggle in your life, financially, you're having problems with your family, you get broke, you get fired of your work, you're having some illness, anything in your life, but you can always overcome it. How? Well, as I said, having positive mindset, having your connection with your loved ones. Be focused in the problem, because this is so important, Henry. People always are overthinking and things that they cannot control. Things that you have to take care is what you can control. What is not under your control, you're going to manage it, because you're going to have depression, anxieties. And having, of course, your mental and your physical health, and having your spirituality, whatever is your higher power, whatever you believe, but you have to believe in something. And when you put everything together, you can overcome any adversity. So this is my takeaway to the audience.
Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies your freedom. Freedom, the ability to choose. Every one of us deal with that. Every one of us has to deal with the challenges of everyday trauma, microtrauma, microaggressions, and just driving in traffic can be a problem. But you might go to work. You may come home to family issues. If we act with the hope of a positive outcome and see how we can bless the situation, that blessing, as it were, that positive action, that positive energy comes back to us, and then we can enhance it for others. And that's what we want everyone to take away today. So again, Jose, we just want to thank you so very much for being here with us. You're amazing in your way. We only look forward to greater things for you, and we want to get hold of your book. Where can we get it?
The book is in this moment is in the editing process. It's already done. It's already done. I had to make some update, because the way I wrote the book, as I told you, is based on my letters. So there was like a lag of 1 year before the last letter, and when I came back, so I had to update some things. That is already done, and I believe that we're going to begin to market in the next 1 or 2 months. It's going to be outside, maybe September, October. It's going to be out, the book. So maybe before the year end, the book is going to be there. We're tackling that. We're going to have in October the first year anniversary. Maybe by that time the book is going to be already out. So yeah,
that's going to be perfect. Well, I'll tell you what, we're looking forward to that. And when it comes out, we'll definitely let everyone know here. And around that time in October, we've got some other things happening. This is the first broadcast of our new season, and I'm so thrilled to have Mr. Jose with us for that reason. I think it's a what I like to call a fire lighting event today on Crush Your Mountain. So I want to thank everybody for being with us. I want to thank again Jose. Hopefully we'll get a chance to work together again sometime in the future. I'm going to send this information. I want Mr. Kessler to get this episode personally, so I'm going to see if I can get his email and send him a link to the finished product version of it. But in the meantime, friends, like I always say at the end of the show, don't just climb your mountain, crush through it, and we'll see you next time. Thank you again, Mr. Jose.